When you think about what's at stake, you think about SGA, and if he could mimic and duplicate what he did last season, winning MVP, regular season MVP, which he's probably going to win this season, win another championship and finals MVP, we're going to be having an uncomfortable conversation when it comes to SGA and what he ranks for as all-time greats.
There's an unspoken rule in the NBA. After a player wins everything, they usually cool off a little. They relax, lose the edge, maybe even fall off. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander clearly never heard any of that. Last season, he grabbed the MVP and the scoring title all in one run. Only 4 players in NBA history have ever done that. That's legendary territory. Most people figured that had to be the highest point possible. The peak, the top of the mountain. But Shai didn't treat it like the finish line at all. Instead, he came back and smashed a record people thought belonged only to Wilt Chamberlain. This isn't some normal run-it-back season either. This is the scary version of Shai that coaches across the league were praying would never fully unlock, and now it's happening right in front of everybody. To understand why the league is panicking now, you have to go back to the beginning, back when Shai was the player nobody fully believed in. In 2018, the Charlotte Hornets picked the skinny guard from Toronto with the 11th overall selection. Not top 3, not a superstar prospect, just a quiet kid with long arms and scouting reports full of lines like "needs more strength" and "still developing." Nobody was acting like they had just drafted the next face of basketball. And before he could even settle in, Charlotte shipped him to the Clippers on draft night for the next pick and a couple second-rounders. That's it. No huge celebration, no giant headlines breaking the internet. It barely made noise. He entered Los Angeles the same way a lot of rookies do, staying low-key, trying to earn minutes, hoping somebody noticed the flashes in his game. His rookie season was solid too. Nearly 11 points per game, good defense, smooth footwork, little moments that hinted at something bigger. But nobody was calling him untouchable. Nobody was saying he'd become one of the most dangerous players in basketball. At that point, he was just seen as a promising young player on a team trying to fight for playoff position. Nothing more. Then came the trade that changed everything forever. When Kawhi Leonard wanted to join the Clippers, there was a catch. He wanted Paul George there too. So the Clippers emptied the vault to make it happen. 5 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, a veteran forward, and buried inside the deal was 20-year-old Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And this part still sounds wild looking back at it. Around the league, people thought the real value in that trade was the mountain of draft picks. The first-rounders were the headline, the swaps were the future. Shai? He was treated like the extra piece tossed into the package to get the deal done. Reports even claimed his future coach in LA pushed the front office hard, asking them to keep Shai and send almost anybody else instead. Didn't matter. The trade happened anyway. So Shai arrived in Oklahoma City like a package attached to a larger shipment. Not as the future superstar, not as the franchise cornerstone. Honestly, not even as the main piece in the trade itself. That's how the league viewed him for years. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City wasn't expected to win anything at all. The roster looked built for rebuilding, not competing. Older veterans mixed with draft assets everywhere. Publicly, the message was development. Quietly, everybody knew the expectation was losing games and stacking lottery odds. Analysts already had them penciled into the bottom of the standings before the season even started. Shai ignored expectations in Oklahoma City too. Even with a future Hall of Fame point guard beside him and a locker room that many people expected to lose games, he still came out firing. He averaged 19 points a night and helped drag that Thunder team into the playoffs when almost nobody believed they belonged there. Inside the bubble, against a higher-seeded team, OKC wasn't supposed to scare anybody. But suddenly, people started paying attention. That was the first warning sign. Then came the next 2 seasons, and everything around him looked messy. Injuries kept interrupting his progress. The Thunder stripped the roster down completely and leaned hard into rebuilding. Most players in that situation would have slowed down. Bad team, limited help, injuries piling up, easy excuses everywhere. But Shai didn't lean on any of them. Instead, his game started evolving into something different. The mid-range jumper became automatic. His footwork got cleaner and more controlled. His pace became deadly. Defenders couldn't speed him up anymore because he was always moving at his own rhythm, almost like he was playing a different sport from everyone else on the floor. Then the moves started looking unreal. He was hitting hesitation pull-ups that left defenders frozen in place. He attacked driving lanes that didn't even look possible. Somehow, he'd take contact straight to the chest and still float the ball softly off the glass like nothing happened. It stopped looking normal. Every game felt like he was inventing new ways to score right in front of people. Players who knew him back in Los Angeles later admitted they saw this coming years ago. They talked about watching him test new moves in practice every single day, stuff nobody else was trying. While the rest of the league still treated him like a solid young player, Shai was quietly building one of the deepest offensive bags in basketball behind the scenes. By his 5th season, people couldn't ignore it anymore. He exploded for 31 points per game and became one of the top scorers in the entire NBA. First team All-NBA. Entire defensive schemes were built just to slow him down. Teams started trapping him, switching defenders nonstop, crowding him before he even crossed half court. That's the kind of attention usually reserved for all-time scorers like Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant, and Shai was still climbing. But the biggest battle wasn't happening on the court. Later on, Shai admitted something most superstars rarely say out loud. For years, he quietly questioned himself. He wondered if his style would really work under pressure. He wondered if those smooth, regular season moves could survive when playoff defenses tightened up and the spotlight got brutal. The skill was always there. The numbers were always there too. The confidence just hadn't fully locked in yet. A lot of players never get past that stage. They put up good stats, sign massive contracts, and settle into being really good. Safe, comfortable. But Shai kept pushing. Somewhere during those rebuilding years, his mindset completely changed. He stopped asking whether he belonged among the elite and started playing like he already knew the answer. Then last season happened, and every remaining doubt got crushed completely. People thought the previous version of Shai was already the best he could be. Instead, he somehow leveled up again. He averaged 32.7 points per game, the highest mark in the league. Oklahoma City won 68 games and turned into an absolute machine during the regular season. Shai didn't just lead the scoring race either. He completely separated himself from the pack. Defenses threw traps, double teams, switches, anything they could think of, and he still sliced through them like it was a casual workout at the gym. Then came the playoffs. Round after round, the Thunder dismantled teams that were supposed to be more experienced, more prepared, and more dangerous. And right in the center of it all was the same quiet kid from Toronto. Except now, he looked fearless. Late game pressure didn't shake him. Big moments didn't rattle him. He closed games, hit impossible shots, and carried Oklahoma City all the way back to the top. When the season finally ended, the awards piled up like something out of a basketball movie. MVP, Finals, MVP, Scoring Champion, NBA Champion, all in one season. Only 4 players in NBA history have ever done that. The other names on that list are the kind people build statues for. Those kinds of players don't just win championships, they become basketball history. They get documentaries made about them. Fans debate their names in barbershops, on podcasts, and across social media for years, while arguing over who belongs in the GOAT conversation. And somehow, at just 26 years old, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander forced his way onto that level. Think about how wild that sounds for a second. 7 years earlier, he was viewed as the extra piece in a trade package. Now he was standing at center court holding the Larry O'Brien Trophy, MVP trophies in his hands, and the scoring title attached to his name. Confetti falling everywhere in Oklahoma City, while an entire fan base celebrated a championship they waited nearly 2 decades to see. A franchise people gave up on. A city that had heard rebuilding excuses for years. And right in the middle of it stood the same quiet guard the league overlooked for half of his career. For most players, that season would have been the ultimate ending, the dream year, the kind of run players spend their whole lives chasing and still never touch. Winning everything usually closes the conversation. It tells the league, okay, someone else can have the spotlight now. That's where everybody messed up, because almost every superstar slows down after reaching the top. It happens all the time. Players finally taste success, relax a little, protect their body more, manage minutes, enjoy the fame, and coast through the next season just enough to stay comfortable. Around the league, people quietly expected Shai to do the same thing. Maybe not collapse completely, but at least come back down to normal levels so everybody else could finally breathe again. But his head coach already knew better. Before the season even started, he gave the NBA a warning that most people ignored. He said Shai wasn't satisfied, said once he gets a taste of success, he immediately wants more. He compared him to someone going back for seconds after already finishing the whole plate. Most people brushed it off like normal coach talk and moved on. Big mistake. Because what happened next wasn't regression. It wasn't a repeat season either. It was something even crazier. The Thunder brought back almost the exact same roster, same rotation, same coach, and somehow stayed just as dominant. 64 wins. Best record in the NBA again. They didn't slow down at all. If anything, they looked even more comfortable crushing teams night after night, and Shai somehow looked sharper than before. He averaged 31.6 points per game while shooting 55% from the field. His true shooting percentage climbed to 66%, which honestly sounds fake for a guard taking the kinds of shots he takes. Usually numbers like that belong to 7-foot centers standing under the basket catching dunks and easy layups all game. Not Shai. This is a 6'6" guard living off pull-up jumpers, step backs, fadeaways, and impossible-looking mid-range shots with defenders glued to him. And somehow he kept knocking them down at an efficiency level the NBA barely sees from players at his position. Every night looked like a scoring clinic. Then came the streak that completely broke people's brains. 127 straight games scoring at least 20 points. That's not just impressive, that's historic. He passed Wilt Chamberlain, which sounds almost illegal considering Wilt owns half the untouchable records in basketball history already. Some of those records are older than entire NBA franchises, and Shai walked right past one of them anyway. What makes it even crazier is how far ahead he was from everybody else. The next longest active streak in the NBA wasn't even close to a third of his total. Statistically, the odds of an all-star scoring 20-plus points in 127 straight games are basically impossible. The math behind it sounds ridiculous, somewhere around 1 in multiple quintillions. At that point, the league had to stop treating this like a hot streak or lucky run. This was dominance on a completely different level. That number isn't exaggerated either. It's real. The math behind it is so ridiculous that it barely even sounds possible anymore. But here's the part most people completely miss about the streak. Shai was usually getting to 20 points before the fourth quarter even started in nearly 90% of those games. That means he wasn't hanging around in garbage time chasing stats. He wasn't staying on the floor for extra minutes trying to force records either. Most nights, he handled business early, sat down, and watched the rest from the bench like the damage was already done. So now the real question hits harder than ever. Why can't defenses stop this version of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? The first reason is mental. For years, there was always quiet pressure hanging over him. Deep down, he used to wonder if his game would truly hold up against the best defenses and biggest playoff moments. That doubt is completely gone now. You can see it every time he steps on the court. Double teams don't shake him. Overtime pressure doesn't bother him. Even carrying a historic scoring streak longer than some NBA careers doesn't seem to affect him at all. He just plays with this cold level of calm that honestly looks unsettling for defenders. No panic, no rushing, no wasted movement. Like he already knows nobody can speed him up anymore. The second reason is his two-way impact. The Thunder have one of the best defenses in basketball, and Shai isn't just standing around benefiting from it. He's a major reason it works. Averaging over a steal per game while ranking among the league's best perimeter defenders, he attacks defense with the same intelligence he uses offensively. He studies angles constantly. He cuts off passing lanes before they even open. He baits players into mistakes and shuts windows before the ball can get there. Watching him defend almost feels like watching a chess player trap somebody 5 moves ahead. Then there's the third reason, and honestly, this might be the scariest part of all. His shot selection is ridiculously disciplined. Unlike a lot of superstars, Shai doesn't force bad shots just to stack points. He doesn't hunt highlights every possession. He gets to his spots, controls the pace, draws contact, and scores with terrifying efficiency. Somehow, the more responsibility you give him, the better his numbers actually get. And remember, all of this is happening deep in the playoffs while he's chasing another championship. At the same time, he's become the heavy favorite to win back-to-back MVP awards, something only a tiny group of NBA legends have ever accomplished. That's why the rest of the league should be nervous. Last season was supposed to be his peak. Instead, he treated it like the beginning of something even bigger. So when people ask what Shai still has left to prove, the answer is probably the scariest possible one for everybody else in the NBA. Nothing! He's only 27 years old, the reigning MVP, the reigning Finals MVP, the owner of the longest active scoring streak in league history. And somehow, it still feels like he's getting better instead of slowing down. The timeline he's building isn't leveling off, it's speeding up fast. 7 years ago, he was viewed as the extra piece in another team's blockbuster trade. Today, he's the superstar every front office wishes they had, and the nightmare every defense is still trying to solve. The version of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the NBA hoped would never fully arrive is officially here, and it doesn't look like this run is ending anytime soon. Where does Shai rank for you already among the all-time greats? Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and check out another video on your screen.